This is a video that's going to help you with multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. Multiplying fractions is actually very easy. All you have to do is multiply the top and multiply the bottom. But before I do that, I always like to reduce the numbers so I don't have such big numbers to multiply, or after I multiply them, such big numbers to reduce. So in the first problem, my two numbers in the numerators are 3 and 9. And they don't have any common factors with 8 or 10. So I can't really reduce that at all. So all I have to do is multiply the top and multiply the bottom. 3 times 9 is 27. 8 times 10 is 80. So since I couldn't reduce it before, I don't have to worry about reducing it later. So my fraction when I multiply 3/8 and 9/10 is going to be 27 over 80. The next one is an example where I can reduce the fractions before I actually multiply them. If I look at the numerator, I have a 15, and in the denominator I have a 40. This 15 and that 40 have a common factor of 5. So I can divide both 15 and 40 by 5. If I take 15 divided by 5, I get 3. If I take 40 divided by 5, I get 8. So that I reduced it so I don't have such big numbers to multiply. I can also look at the other pair of numbers, 22 and 33. And 22 and 33 have a common factor of 11. So 22 divided by 11 is 2, and 33 divided by 11 is 3. Now I have much smaller numbers to multiply. So I'll take 3 times 3 on the top, and that becomes 9. And 2 times 8 is going to be 16. And I don't have to reduce big numbers also, so that's kind of the advantage. I like to reduce them when they're smaller so that I can multiply smaller numbers. It just makes it much easier. Whenever I have improper fractions, whenever I have mixed numbers, I have to change them to improper fractions before I can multiply them. The way I multiply, the way I change a mixed number to an improper fraction is I take the denominator and multiply it by the whole number. So 3 times 12, and then add 2. 3 times 12 plus 2 is going to be 14/3. And I'm going to multiply that by 7 times 2 plus 1. 7 times 2 is 14, and 1 is 15 over 7. A lot of people want to try something different. What they want to try and do is multiply the whole numbers and then multiply the fractions. So what they want to do is take 4 times 2 and get 8, and then 2/3 and 1/7 and get 2/21. That is not correct. That is not the correct way to multiply fractions. You'll never get the right answer if you do it that way. You have to change it to improper fractions like I've done here, and then we can reduce and multiply. So if I look at the 15 and the 3, they both have a common factor of 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 5. I have 14 and 7. They both have a common factor of 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 14 divided by 7 is 2. Now when I multiply the top and the bottom, I get 2 times 5, which is 10, and 1 times 1, which is 1. Well, 10 over 1 is the same thing as 10. So that answer is 10. Remember, you have to change the improper fractions to mixed numbers before, let me say that again. You have to change the mixed numbers to improper fractions before I can multiply and reduce. Okay, now what I want you to do is turn off or pause the recording and see if you can do number 16. Okay, let's see how we did on number 16. So the first step, I have mixed numbers, so I have to change into improper fractions. So 2 times 12 is 24, plus 1 is 25 over 2. Times 15 times 1 is 15, plus 7 is 22 over 15. So I change into improper fractions. That's the first step. After I change into improper fractions, I got to see if I can reduce them. So if I look at the 15 and the 25, they both have a common factor of 5. So I'll divide them both by 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. And then I have a 2 and a 22. I can divide those both by 2 since they're both even. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 22 divided by 2 is 11. So now I've reduced it as much as possible, so I multiply the top and I multiply the bottom. 5 times 11 is 55. 1 times 3 is 3. So now I have an improper fraction. So let's change it to a mixed number. How many times does 3 go into 55? Well, I could figure that out, and it's 18, and I have 1/3 left over. So the answer for that question is going to be 18 1/3. Okay, pause the video again and see if you can do number 17, and then I'll come back and check your work. Okay, let's see how you did on number 17. So I have to change into improper fractions first. 6 times 4 is 24, and 1 is 25. So it's 25/6 times 10 times 2 is 20 plus 7 is 27/10. So I've changed them to improper fractions. Now I don't want to multiply those big numbers and then try and reduce, because that would be really difficult. So what I'm going to do instead is reduce it now and then multiply the smaller numbers. So if I look at the two numbers, I have 25 and I have 10. Both of those numbers are divisible by 5 because they end in 0 and 5. So 25 divided by 5 is 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 6 and 27 is a little bit more difficult, but I know that 3 divides in both. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 27 divided by 3 is 9. Now I've reduced them as much as possible, so I multiply the top and I multiply the bottom, and I get 45 divided by 4. 5 times 9 is 45. 2 times 2 is 4. There's going to be 11 4s in 45, with 1/4 remaining. That's how you do number 17. Go ahead and try number 18, and I'll stop the video and try number 18, and then I'll check your work in a few minutes. Okay, let's see how you did on number 18. So the first thing I have to do is change the mixed numbers to improper fractions. So 7 times 5 is 35, plus 1 is 36, so it's 36/7 times 9 times 3 is 27, plus 1 is 28, so it's 28/9. Now let's reduce this so I don't have to multiply such big numbers. I could take 36 times 28 divided by 7 times 9 and then try and reduce it later, but it's going to be much easier to reduce it now rather than later. So 36 and 9, think of a common factor, and I know 9 divides in both. 36 divided by 9 is just 4. 9 divided by 9 is 1. 27 and 28, or 7 and 28, they both have a common factor of 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 28 divided by 7 is 4. Now I can multiply the top and multiply the bottom. 4 times 4 is 16. 1 times 1 is 1. So the answer for that one is just going to be 16. And that is how you multiply mixed numbers and fractions.